Hi, Communications 131. Well, I've been getting some emails about what do I do about my favorite speech. I'm not sure, my favorite activity speech. What do I do? How does it look? And I really did plan on posting something tonight so you'd have an idea of what to do. I want to back up for a minute and remind you that, first of all, please stay in the module, okay? Now, I know that there's a separate area where you can look up assignments, and I know that those dates don't always line up. I copied my information from fall and put it into winter, but I've noticed that even if I change dates in the module, sometimes the activity or the assignment doesn't change, so don't let that bother you. Also, I was told that if I make the module not available, you shouldn't be able to see any dates, but apparently I think you can see some dates. So I want you to know that, just if you try to stay within our week, so today would be February 2nd through February 9th, if you follow that module, the dates should line up. I do really appreciate it if you see something wrong and you let me know. That's the only way I can fix it. So I really do appreciate that. And I am I'm grading homework. I try to do it at least every other day or every day for an hour or two. I've got 3 classes, like I said. So sometimes, it takes a minute to get to everything. I do write comments to you. So if you were looking at your thesis homework that I had you do, then I wanted to make sure you looked at not only the answers that I put in for this week, the answers are all there, but also that you look at my comments where I may have said, here's a way to do it. So I'm going to back up for just a second and talk about why that whole assignment's important. So when you put together a speech, you have a speech to inform or a speech to persuade. And I know I talked about this on the last video, but just very quickly, the speech to inform is to increase your audience's understanding and maybe just explain them something, teach them something, make them aware of something that they may not have known before. You're not trying to persuade them to do anything. You're just saying, hey, this is what I want to talk about. And your favorite place and or activity is actually a speech to inform. You're telling us about a place you enjoyed being or an activity that you really like to do and why you like it and what you do and all that stuff. So consider it informative, okay? So once you kind of get, you know the broadest form of your speech, then you kind of get your angle on it, your specific purpose. What do I hope my audience will learn about as a result of my speech? So let's take the example of the decaying bridges in the United States, that one, okay? So in there, I wanted you to write in what's the specific purpose to inform my audience about, and you get it right off of the thesis. If the thesis says, decaying bridges in the United States are caused by overloading, weather, and neglect. Well, first of all, those 3 things become the main points. And to get your thesis, what do you hope the people will know? Your general, okay, hold on. To get the specific purpose, you lob it off, and it is, what are the causes of decaying bridges? Boom. And then your thesis, the causes of decaying bridges, your overloading, weather, and neglect. What are the main points you're going to cover? Overloading, weather, and neglect. And I know some of you went above and beyond and you tried to write a lot of information in there, and that's cool, but all I need you to do is to say something like, point 1, the first cause of decaying bridges in the United States is overloading. Then you would have an A and a B and maybe some detail about, what are the weight standards from these bridges? How many trucks go over them? What other things are going over there that, might be causing a lot of weight to go on these bridges? And then the same thing for the weather and the same thing for the neglect, okay? So that's how you would proceed with something like that, all right? That's what I'm looking for. If you want to, you don't have to start with the first cause is. You can start with overloading is the first cause of, overloading is one cause of why bridges decay. And then the second point would be weather is another cause. And the third point would be neglect is a final cause. Now, what I want you to know is that when you have your main points, all right, so that whole big 85, 90% of your speech is the body with the 3 to 5 main points, You want to have something that has a main point that sounds the same on the next main point and the next main point. That indicates to your audience, because they're listening to you, okay, that I'm on to another main point. Oh, she's on another main point. I got it. All right, that makes sense. You need to use your voice to indicate the signals of where you're going in your speech, because you're just talking to people. And it's important to sound organized. So you can do it with transitional words like and, another, in addition to, finally. You can also use first of all, second, third, finally. All of those things are fine. Numbering things like one benefit of exercise, a second benefit, a third benefit. You not only use first, second, third, transitional words, and also indicators that I'm going to another main point, but also wording of similar points is called parallel structure. And I talk about that, I think it's this week in the module, okay? Parallel structure is similar wording of a main point. And they don't have to all start first, second, third. They can start with the actual action verb. So let's say you wanted to do a demonstration on refinishing furniture. And I don't really know the procedure, but let's just say sanding is the first thing I want to take care of when I'm going to refinish something, blah, blah, blah. Next, I'm going to, I don't know what you do, strip it, out of the varnish. Then I'm going to restain it, and then I'm going to seal it. So you can start with an actual verb like that, blah, 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 or you can go first, second, third. So when you put just your primary words, that was fine for me on your assignment with the thesis statement. How do I go from general purpose, specific purpose, what I hope they want to learn, boom. The thesis that I gave you, and from the thesis goes to the main points. So if you listed them, they're fine. I wrote on everybody's, and why I want you to read the feedback is, yes, and you can also put it in a complete sentence, or it also can sound like this. So make sure you're reading so that you know, okay? I think that's important. And I did give you examples, so if you're looking at them, and again, the actual answers are there this week to look at, make sure you know that, because this is what we're going to follow for a format all the way through the semester. So let's just be on top of that, okay? All right, I think that part is taken care of. I think you probably understand that. Now, I make sure when I give you an assignment that I give you a template of what I think something would look like. And I've done that for your favorite place or activity speech. And I've also got with me today examples of what other students have done, so I can show you. I may not read all of them, but I'll read a few of them for you, okay? So again, your favorite place or activity, you do not have to do any research for this speech. It comes right from you. It should be fun. And it should be something that you enjoy doing, or a place you like to be. And I recommend that it's okay if it's your bedroom, if it's your living room, if it's grandma's kitchen, if it's the backyard, if it's the baseball field, those are all fine. I'm completely great with that. You don't have to be fancy. Not everybody can go to Atlanta. I mean, I do have some speeches on Cedar Point, Las Vegas, New York City. That's all great. But it's completely fine with me if your favorite place is, I love to be in my car. I love to be in my garden. I really enjoy going to grandma's kitchen. Those are all fine. So don't get worried about where would I go and what would I do? So here's the actual assignment. And I know you're going to look that up. And I know that I put it in there, okay? It's not due until February 12th. But I want to give it to you so you have, 10 days to get it ready. And that way, when you give me a rough draft, it's called a key phrase outline. That's what this is. I'm only putting words to follow. You can write little examples of what you want to say on the side, because I'm not collecting that. This is yours. But I need to know that you have 3 to 5 main points in the body of the speech, and you have some support information, and I see that you're prepared to go. All right, so that's what I do. So in your example, this particular speech is taken right from a student that said I could use it, and this is on San Antonio is her favorite place. So I broke this outline down into the introduction, the body, and the conclusion, the 3 parts you need. In the introduction, I literally want you to write out the word introduction. And I want you to be sure that your first opening line is an attention getter. So that could be a quote, that could be a statistic, it could be a story, it could be a question, you know, hey, did you know, or how many people have? Those are all fine. Some people even like to start with a visual aid, okay? So whatever you want to do, that's fine. You just don't want to start with today my speech is about. And yes, it's okay if you say your name. We're still learning who everybody is, so don't panic about that. So you're going to have your attention getter. Then I want you to give a little bit of background and then your thesis or the preview of your main points. That's the last thing you put in your introduction. So in this speech, we have this. How many of you have ever been to San Antonio, Texas? Well, last year I had a chance to go with my sister down to San Antonio, and I have to tell you, I loved it. There's so many things to do and see when you're there. If you ever get a chance to go to San Antonio, now I'm on my thesis, I know you're going to enjoy the river walk, the Mexican food, and visiting the Alamo. Boom. Just like that, I told you this is what's going into the body of my speech. Now, if you wanted to use a visual aid, my mom and dad went to the Alamo. I've never been to Texas, so I have no idea. This is a picture of the Alamo, and they told me that it's literally right downtown. I mean, it's like right in the middle of the town. You wouldn't think that it would be like that. And here's another picture of it. And see, here's buildings downtown in the background. You're like, what's going on? And they have these little poles all the way around it. Anyway, quite interesting. If you want to show a visual aid of a person, of an item, of your garden, of your bike, of your baseball, that's all fine. You can do that. You're not required to, but sometimes it's fun to manipulate a visual aid. And then you feel like people are focusing on the visual aid instead of you. And that makes you feel like your message is getting across more clearly. And I'm talking about stage fright this week. It is in there, okay? So you have to read about that and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's go back here. So now we know Riverwalk, Mexican food, and the Alamo. So if you look at the example I've given you, under point 1, and I labeled body, point 1, first of all, be sure to visit the Riverwalk. And what I put under there, these are the things that she had in her speech. Oh, whoops, I didn't actually put them in there. But I just put support point with detail, support point. She had things like, it's very lush, it's very green. There are all kinds of beautiful flowers. You can get a boat and rent little boats to go down the river. There's all kinds of vendors and little tiny shops. That's what I'm talking about here, okay? Next, the second point, be sure to try some Mexican food. So she talked about the big variety, very authentic Mexican food, what kinds of Mexican food you could get, the types of places where they offer it, like you can spend a lot of money or you can spend just a little bit depending on what you want to do. Finally, complete your trip with a visit to the Alamo. And she just talked about, you know, some of the little bit of the historical things that she saw when she was in there and the unique location that she thought was weird that the whole town built around it. Anyway, once you give me that part, okay, you're going to your conclusion. And for your conclusion, this is a 100 level class. You do not need to say in conclusion, but if you do, that's fine. The most important thing is that you indicate to your audience that you are going to conclude. You can say things like, so, to sum it all up, or so, today, I would like to remind you that if you ever get a chance, you know, to go to San Antonio, be sure to visit the Riverwalk, have some Mexican food, and stop by and see the Alamo. You're gonna sum it. Okay, that's the first thing you do in your conclusion, and then you leave a final thought. And all I put down, or what the student had put down is, make it your next vacation destination. Okay, so when you see this example that is in your assignment, this is a key phrase outline, all right? Just the key phrases that you are going to use when you put your speech together. This is what I would like to see for me. I know where you're going. Now, for some of you, you want to write more, and you can write on your copy anything you want, and if you don't like an outline like this, you can use note cards. I had a note card. I have one. Oh, okay. So my little granddaughter writes on this. I don't know what I have in there. Okay, so you can have a note card. If you have them, 6 to 8 note cards is usually plenty, but number your note cards, because if you do drop them, you got to put them together quick. I know you're sitting at your computer, but I like to try to plan for everything. The only good thing about the outline is it's one page. And sometimes I tell people to color coordinate, like point 1 is in blue, point 2 is in pink, point 3 is in yellow. That way you can use your thumb and go down the side. The reason I'm telling you about the key phrase outline, and you're going to see that in many of these examples that I'm going to show you, is you don't want to read word for word. Remember last week I said that you want to give a natural and confident delivery. You don't want to give like, you know, a word for word reading because it sounds stilted. It doesn't really sound natural. And the best way to be an effective speaker is to come across as a natural conversationalist style. That's what your audience can relate to, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? And again, you can write right out intro, body, conclusion, and then on the side of yours, you can put in any detail you want. And I will tell you, I mentioned this last time too, that for support material, you can use definitions, statistics, facts. You can use, I think I was mentioning examples and personal experience. For this speech, examples and personal experience is really all you need to do. We'll be talking more about the speech to inform with research next week, so you don't need to worry about that part today, all right? Just something you enjoy doing, examples and personal experience. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm gonna show you examples of what other students have done. So this is a speech on the favorite, her favorite activity is gambling, all right? There you go, a little gambling. We got the Super Bowl coming up, woo woo. So in this speech, she wrote right out, intro, body, conclusion, just like I said to do because we're still learning. I'm hot, I gotta take this fleece thing off. Okay, so she just said, I really enjoy gambling. You know, she gave me some kind of intro. And then she said, especially Keno, scratch-offs, and the slot machines. So if that's her thesis, what does she do in her speech? Point 1, how to play Keno. Point 2, scratch-offs. Point 3, slot machines. And under each one, she put her examples of how she plays, what she likes to do, where you play, how she gets her results, where she buys her tickets. Detail is who, what, where, when, why, how. The journalist's 6 questions. So if you're doing your speech and like, shoot, I don't think I have enough in there, who goes with you? How much does it cost or how much do you take to spend? You know, how much did you actually win? Did you win $300? You know, did you lose $400? You know, or if you're me, I've only went one time with my dad and he gave me 20 bucks and I won 80 right away. And we left immediately and went and had lunch. We took everybody with us. It was fun. Well, I mean our family. So I don't go gambling, but that's me. So anyway, that's all she did. And it was really fun. I had a good time enjoying it. Who, what, where, when, why, how, to add a little bit for your stories and your personal examples, okay? Here's one on Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, I don't know how easy you can see this, but what her thesis is, yeah, it was a girl, is this is the home of country music. They have outstanding restaurants and an excellent nightlife. So the first thing is to begin with, point 1 is Nashville is known for its country music. So she talked all about that, where you can go, what you can do. Next, fantastic bars and restaurants. Again, never been to Nashville. And finally, great nightlife. I have heard that it's a lot of fun. And then a conclusion. So this is a key phrase outline. Not everything is written out word for word, just the key things. And that way, when you practice, your reminders are there. And when I tell you 3 points or 3 to 5, 3 is great for this speech because it's only, you know, like a 5-minute speech, 3 to 5 minutes. That's all you need. This is all you need to make your time. Here is one on Brazil. Here is a student that went down there for a visit. And this person, their thesis was, okay, here's the introduction. Do you know the 7 wonders of the world? Well, if you don't know the 7 wonders of the world, I can tell you that one of them is located in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So anyway, and then she went through and said, if you get a chance to go to Brazil, you will enjoy the culture, the beaches, the statues, and the carnival. So she goes through each one. when you get speeches like this, it could be Nashville, it could be Rio, this next one's gonna be on Puerto Rico. If you do that, these are actually even speech to inform with research, because you could throw some research in there and have your speech done for that too. So if you can't decide and you have an activity you like and then also a place, save your place, and you can always do it for your speech to inform with research if you needed an idea. And I told you, didn't I, that my son-in-law is from Brazil. He's from Rio, and he's been to Michigan. He was here a couple times, and my daughter went there for a few weeks to kind of meet his family and check it out. Anyway, yeah, he came here right when COVID struck, and he has not been able to get his green card, nothing. He's an engineer. He cannot get a job yet. But he's a really interesting young man, really a lot of fun, and he speaks English better than I do. So very interesting, and and he's only lived in 80 to 90 degree weather. He has never ever seen the seasons, and he has never seen snow, so he is like freaking out this weekend when it's cold. That'll show him. Anyway, but I just wanted to tell you, this also could be a speech to inform with research. Here's Puerto Rico, and in this one she put, you'll enjoy the resort, the food and drinks, and Palomino Island. So that's all she has. Key phrase outline. Here's one that is my favorite activity is golf. Key phrase outline. I like the competition of it, even with yourself. I like the relaxation of it, and ultimately it is a test of your character. Another game I don't do, but it looks fun. Here is a speech on Hilton Head Island, all these places I've never been, but I want you to see how we're following that pattern. Tell us what you're gonna tell us. Tell us what you told us. And this is a 3 to 5 minute speech, okay? I've got New York City. Just leave it up there so you can kind of see it. Okay? I've got, I think this is, I'm not sure, Harrietta, I think it's someplace up north. Key phrase outline, clear thesis. And then another place I would really like to go is Boys Blank Island. Very nice, key phrase outline. And what this thesis was is, if you ever get a chance to go to Boys Blank Island, you're gonna enjoy how peaceful it is, the island community, and the lack of laws. That sounds really exciting. So it was really fun to just kind of go through and pull out a few examples for you, and I hope that helps. So what I'm looking for is that you have an attention getter, a little background, and a clear thesis. The thesis tells us exactly what the main points are. And if you're only using 3 to 5, yes, list them out. I want to hear them because it keeps you on track, and it's a good way for your audience to say, oh yeah, they said they were going to talk about it, now they are. Then your main points, and follow some structure. The first thing you should see when you're there is this. Another thing that you should see, finally be sure to do this. Those transitional words tell your audience, I'm bridging you to the next point. So don't even panic, just go ahead and do that, okay? All right, and then of course your conclusion is to sum up what you said and leave a final thought. You can say conclusion, or you can say to sum all this up, or so as I bring this to a close, or well, once again, I'd like to remind you. So anything that indicates that you're gonna sum up and then do sum up and then go ahead and put your final thought or question or whatever on there. I hope that really helps with your how to do your favorite place or activity speech. And this format will be the same for your speech to inform. The difference is that you will have to put some research in there, and I would like it to be 5 to 7 minutes, and I want a visual aid for that speech for sure, like a graph or a picture or something that represents what you're talking about. So I will show you a couple examples of that in a couple weeks, and I will go through that one as well. And I'm sorry this went so long. I thought I could do it in about 10 minutes, but I ought to know better. So anyway, I think I'm looking forward to your speeches. You're all doing a really good job getting your assignments in. I do have a few people that have not done anything yet, so I'm just kind of seeing if people are dropping. So your final thing that I should tell you before we close, how am I going to critique this? So 30 points is for your delivery, 30. eye contact, some of you are standing up already for impromptus. That's great. If you're not comfortable doing that, I get it, but it is actually the best way to do it. But if, it's kind of hard. Like right now I have to use my shoe to get my phone in place so I can talk to you. So I know it's not ideal. The other thing is I want you to make sure you're speaking loud enough and clear enough. So you might want to do a test first and make sure that everybody can hear you and make sure your area is quiet. I don't really have any problem with backgrounds, but if you have like a spinning fan, sometimes that gets annoying, so just shut it off. So watch for that. But just a natural, confident delivery is fine, okay? Don't worry about a thing. And you're really just talking to me. And you're also talking to your classmates because they can view your speech. You're gonna post your speech to discussion board. If you can't get into assignment, I will find it in discussion board. It's not gonna be a problem. I would like you to post it both places. I'm certainly no tech wizard, so I know that for some people it's easy to do, and for other people this is really a struggle. So get it on there somewhere. The last thing I want you to know is I am going to be grading your speech. No one will see your grade, and please don't be so hard on yourself. You're going to do great, 30 points on delivery, and then you're gonna have so many points for having a thesis statement, like say 15 points for your intro. Did you that include a thesis statement in an attention getter? 15 points on the body of your speech, or maybe more. Like, did you have 3 to 5 points? Did you have transitions? Did you use examples and personal experiences? Did you have a conclusion? There's points for that. So all the way through. Actually, I can't even remember if I made this speech. I think it's a 50-point speech. So in that case, I'll take everything down. It's a third of what you're doing. Sorry to confuse you, but I'm also confused because I had to change the points to make this work online so that you're not as overwhelmed. Okay, I think you're gonna be just great, and I'm going to put you in groups. So I will tell you, this group, watch these speeches, and then be sure to give critique under those people. When you give a critique, and I write this right out and how to do it when you see this posted, when it's time for the speech, you are going to tell people 2 things you really like and 2 things that you think could be changed, all right? So I really liked your eye contact, your voice was really clear, I loved the examples you shared, it sounded so fun, I could tell you were passionate about it, those are great. Things that could be improved. I noticed that you were looking at your notes. Look up just a little bit more. You were a little bit soft. Could you speak a little louder? I wasn't sure on your 3rd point. Maybe make sure to put a finally in there or something. So I want you to be descriptive of what people could do. We're not about saying good, bad, that sucked. We don't do any of that. No, no, no. So it's 2 things you like and 2 things that could be improved. And believe it or not, many of you will say, there's nothing that we could improve on that speech. It was that good. I'll try to find something, but usually, you're right. Usually people are very good at just sticking to the message they want to give, and you will be fine. Okay, I'm gonna call it a night and load this and get it on there for you. Take care. Bye-bye.